Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
Because then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
It's funny. I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
I'm asking you if there's yourself you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with. Right.
Yeah, I think what comes to my mind first would be just trying to get to know where it comes from, kind of the way I, interpersonal relationships and the judgment with that, I would say. I know it comes from childhood traumas and situations that I tend to hold a inner grudge sometimes, and I know it comes from judgment, but I'm not really sure why. But just feeling very vulnerable, taking things very for people to hurt me, people like family, people close, or close friends.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that really comes from, but I know it's a deep-seated either controllability. So I haven't really dug down to figure that out. But
okay.
yeah, just feeling, still hurt over things that happened a long time ago, even if they were very little, and those kind of repressed thoughts or memories kind of pop. I feel very vulnerable.
Okay. So when you're in that place of kind of having that judgment about others, for example, or having a grudge, where do you feel that in or around your body?
I think the top of my stomach, it's a kind of feeling.
What else do you notice about it? Is there any other kind of energy or direction or anything else you can detect about it?
Yeah, it feels very in, and I can, not the outside, it's coming from internal, and it feels very deep. And when it comes out as anger or any resentment, I know that under that is a sadness, and that's kind of that gut heart feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're really onto something there, that of noticing that you have the part that's angry, and then under that sort of a part that's sad. About right?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's okay with you, can we start with the part that that has the anger first?
Sure.
And same place, or where do you feel that?
It's around that too. And I think the more I think about it, if I think it kind of gets deeper and kind of straight through, more into that heart area. But I think the first anger is kind of the stomach, and full body too, just because it's a negative emotion, it kind of makes you think about it, kind of just goes deeper into like the heart space. But yeah, I think the anger, just like irritability, not so much anger, but just irritable. And I'm, why would they say that? Kind of
Yeah.
And then I start to think about it more, and it kind of, the feeling goes in deeper, and then the thought changes into more of a sadness and like irritation.
Yeah. Okay. So as you know, feeling around your top of your stomach, how do you feel towards that part of yourself that's irritated?
A little bit conflicted because I don't want to feel that way. I know that it's like a burden, so to say, that I know that it's like, just subconscious things just in my body. So then I almost get irritated with that.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, kind of a confusing type of feeling. It's like I don't want to be irritated, but irritated that I am because I know that I saw it, and I would physically and emotionally.
Yeah, makes sense. So see if you can ask that part of you that feels able to release it. Part of you that is irritated with the irritation. See if you can ask those parts for a little bit of space in this conversation so that we can get to know that the irritation better. In fact, if you just try to go inside and ask them for a little space just in this conversation.
Okay. It's kind of like a feeling like it wants to, and the body's kind of like, oh yeah, it's okay, but it's hesitant. I can still feel just thinking about it, even though nothing is going on right now. It's tight.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's that hesitation, I guess, to let go, and I think that's probably because I don't know what I'm letting go, that fear, the control of it.
Sure.
I'm not sure that it like wants to, but it's still holding on.
Yeah. And we don't want to eradicate it. And you can also just kind of let it know that if it feels like anything's getting overwhelming or anything, it can jump back in. But if it will it'll just step aside a little bit, even if it's still observing, to let us get to know that anger and irritation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you have some? Okay. And so
it definitely releases a little. It just holds on. Like, not all the way.
Great. And so turning back to the irritated part, how are you feeling towards?
I think more aware, but in a better way, if that makes sense, because I'm looking at it from the outside.
Yes.
And not, at the moment, I'm able, in a way, to control it just by that, because it's not controlling me at the time. I'm kind of directing it, so that feels good.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get us to a space where we're going to go in and try to get to know it better, and again, without any amount of us kind of pushing it around and what it to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have that curiosity, then again, just try to turn towards that feeling, that irritated feeling, it to be known, and let it know that you'd like to get to know it, and try asking it what it wants you to know about it, about itself, and see what it says.
Okay. It's just like a manifestation of, accumulated stress. And it's just kind of popping out in those types of ways. And it's, like a physical body onto accumulation. When I think about it in that type of way, it's not really one thing or, not even a hitting past thing necessarily. Sure, it's multiple, but that's the part where a little but not let go fully. And it seems like it's just built up physical tension and trying to come out, and my body hasn't figured out a way to release it yet, so it's coming out in that way also.
See if you can just directly, if what that tension is about, and what it wants you to know by sending you that feeling. Let it know that you're getting the feeling loud and clear, and that you're curious about what message it's trying to send you. And of course, if it has, if you're seeing and experiencing things that you don't want to share, or they're too vulnerable or whatever, me, but just to try to hear from it what that tension is about.
Yeah. I think just the fear and change, the lack of control or control of that.
Okay. And ask it more. Fear. What is it? What does that look like? What is it afraid of happening if it doesn't do that job of bringing that tension, of control? What's it afraid of?
Yeah. A little bit. I don't really know. It's like just an inner, I feel like I'm protecting myself from that tension. And it's kind of like pulling me in this seatbelt or something.
Yeah. And so how, can you say more about that? What's providing that seatbelt feeling? Or?
Yeah, I think the tension, I think of like that stomach tensing up, if you get anxious, you feel that way. In my mind or my body, it's almost like being in a car and you can feel the seatbelt, and that, okay, I should wear that, that's protecting me. But if something were to happen, what I can control that would help me.
Okay.
And whether it will or not, who knows, but it's the tool that I have to protect myself.
Yeah. So
and that's what the feeling feels like, it's like almost like feel like.
Yeah.
And that's the best analogy I can feel, is that my mind is putting me in a seatbelt to protect me from any harm, whether it comes or not. And I'm not sure what that is. But it's just the vulnerability of being open and not having the safety blanket, so to say.
That makes perfect sense to me, and it sounds like that part is providing, intending to provide protection. It's protecting you from that vulnerability. So see if you can, again, you're focusing on this part that feels like it's emanating from your stomach area. Some for its intention, at least, in the job that it does.
Mm-hmm.
And just see how it reacts to you showing it that appreciation.
And I think it feels good to think about it in that way too, because the thought of that is annoying to me and a negative thing, so it keeps bringing up more negative emotion. But then to understand, trying to lessen those feelings, and it's not a bad thing. It's not needed, but it's trying to, make those feelings more, even though they're not.
So let it know that that's how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And just see how it reacts.
Yeah, I feel like it wants that. Like it doesn't want to control it either.
Yeah, it
Kind
does.
of like a back and forth, mind body.
Yeah, it doesn't really job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like it has done a difficult job. You might ask it if you could change what it's protecting. So it's protecting this state of vulnerability. It's protecting perhaps this other part that is vulnerable. If you could heal that and free it up, this protective job that it's doing, what else might it like to do inside of you?
I'm sorry, you said what else might it like to do?
Yeah, what else might this protective part inside of you with its energy to do this job that it does?
Yeah, I think it would do the opposite. It would be a physical feeling, and a feeling to get up and do things and, walk and not so strapped down, literally. Kind of do the opposite, push you away.
Yeah. Does it good place to explore what that would look like with it and maybe show it some options or let it show you what what that looks like. And again, you don't have to enumerate everything here with me, but a kind of nice place of if it had a magic wand, if it was relieved of that need to be protective in that way, what does it see itself? How does it see itself act?
I like that, visual person. I like thinking about it that way. And visually, I think of like a magnet, and it's just like stuck on there. But if I'm able to be strong enough to pull it off, then it, between where it can't stick and it repels and just kind of pushes outward energy.
Yeah, I like that. Try asking this part how old it thinks you are. Wait for the answer.
Mm-hmm. Definitely child.
Okay. Yeah. It on your real age.
Okay.
And just see how it reacts to that. Let it know that you have some other tools now.
Okay.
And then try asking it what it needs from you in the future.
Mm-hmm. I think I feel like the security, it's kind of like, oh, okay, you're good, but are you? You know what I mean? It's like still that, what word I'm trying to say, but like of it, it's just in case.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like wants proof, so to say.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, yeah, that's good, but I'm going to sit right here by the side until I know 100%.
Good.
So it's still kind of stuck, but it wants to see that and prove that, just to be like, okay, you're good now. I don't have to protect you anymore, and then I can back away.
Yeah. So that would be the kind of the next move in the IFS world. You would go and talk to that part that it's protecting, and you would heal that part through a similar process. Although it's typically, but yeah, and then it can see that working, and then it can be liberated to have a new role.
Run it that way.
There were parts in the beginning of this conversation you asked to kind of step aside, that were this irritated part. You can kind of bring them. You can bring them in now, and just kind of see how the whole system reacts to seeing you work with this.
And I feel like that is really what's preventing, the protection from moving, so to say, is because that. But then when that part of me comes in, that's a show. So that's proving the opposite of what I want, and that's kind of one of the things now. Truly, like looking at it, then as part of the still breaking through it. So the body's not really trusting that I'm making progress.
Right.
Because I'm still using, these coping mechanisms that aren't, people need to cope, that are serving.
Sure. And again, I would just suggest, thanking your parts and thanking your body for having that wisdom of, it's not just, okay, everything changed now, and we don't have to do these jobs anymore. It's like they have a lot of power, and they, in a lot of ways, they use it very wisely. Sometimes way beyond its need, like you were saying, when you feel like you don't need that in that way anymore. So finding new roles for those parts is what it's all about.
Yeah. And to think about it, like you're doing, kind of breaking each piece down and kind of like moving this to the side and that to the other side, and the surface is a little more so you can see. Because at the beginning, I'm like, okay, well, the anger, I know the sadness, but now to kind of peel it away a little bit and think about it in a different way. Also, the coping mechanisms, not just what the feelings are, but dealing with them and why it's not working, and why I'm kind of not able to change that.
Yeah. Well,
and maybe it's, what I feel like is the problem that I'm not coping with is that I don't realize that I'm doing. And it's like the circle, of an issue, and that's why I haven't got deep enough down.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing, it's called IFS, an internal family, is where it comes from, internal family systems. And so it's looking at each of these kind of extreme emotions as really like people inside of you, and they have their own history, have their own intentions, they have their own intentions. They all want what's best for you ultimately, but that can show up a lot of different ways. For some people, that makes them alcoholics. For some, suicidal. It's parts that are saying they're dealing with another part, another pain or something, and that's their way of solving the problem. So it's just kind of parts and with them about, again, like how old you really are, for example. So many of them are stuck in our childhoods, and getting them working together and showing them that they can other, you can kind of mend relationships between them where, oh, I when I feel this way, I binge, and then I hate myself for it, kind of thing. And it's like, well, we can bring those two parts together in a way where have some more respect for each other and put down the weapons they're using a little bit.
Yeah, maybe work together and not like take over at a certain time.
Right.
Maybe you only want to.
Well, that's the thing, is that there is a real you, there is a self, and you, and that's not a part. You're kind of the you're kind of the captain, and have their role on you, and yeah, they can take over, they can overwhelm, but ultimately, we all have this self inside of us that can run the show. And it's
interesting.
Yeah. I don't have any more questions for this particular part. I would suggest to just to check. You can stay for a little while, just spend a minute, seeing what it's up to and how it's feeling. And of course, if you did ever want to have another conversation, and we could talk to more, also try accessing that vulnerable part, with permission of the protectors, and trying to go and healing that.
Yeah, I would definitely be very interested.
Yeah. You've been a really good sport today. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm all about this stuff. It's very interesting to me and very useful too. I want to help you also, but it's great for me too. I really like it.
Okay. Oh, well, yeah, again, I don't have any more questions. Thank you. And
all right.
It was nice meeting you, and I'll be in touch.
Yeah, you as well, James. You take care, and good luck with the podcast. They're good people to help you out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.